how about we make it illegal for there to be a private middleman mafia boss in between us and our health care?
What's going on, you guys? So we have Ben Shapiro getting called out by Emma Vigeland. Ben Shapiro is lying to his audience. Emma Vigeland sees through it, calls it out.
To sound the alarm to Donald Trump about these Medicaid cuts, because he's saying publicly, and I guess there are some people that believe Donald Trump at his word at this point, which is shocking to me, because he's probably the most notorious liar in American history. He's saying that he doesn't want to cut Medicaid, but the Republican House budget slashes Medicaid to the bone. Now, there was a piece in the Washington Post today that Representative Jeff Van Drew, he's a Republican in New Jersey, which is a blue state, is talking to Trump, among other blue state Republicans. Hey, you know, Medicaid provides health coverage for like 1 in 5 Americans, 41% of births nationwide, basically half of coverage and care, or at least it helps around half of kids with special needs. 83 million low-income Americans are a part of Medicaid programs. 5 in 8 nursing home residents. I mean, this would be so devastating for our elderly in nursing homes. And it's more, there are 41 out of the 50 states in this country have Medicaid expansion. There are 9 Republican states that still resisted it. That was a part of the Affordable Care Act, where essentially the federal government pays for all of it, and then they split the administrative costs, the federal government and the state government. So like, it's barely skin off the back of these red states. But this is the policy of conservatism. This is their ideology. They want to immiserate people so that they continue to be in the workforce and can be exploited. And they can transfer more wealth to the top of the income threshold. So Ben Shapiro responded to this and talked about Medicaid. It's been a fun kind of year and a half to watch Ben Shapiro struggle in the Republican rebrand of being economic populist, which is not a thing.
And I feel bad for anyone supporting Donald Trump. You know, you might suffer from vertigo by the end of this term. The way that he moves his positions nonstop, he does complete 180s every 45 seconds on his takes. He really doesn't even stick to one point ever. It's just, he's all over the place. And Emma Vigeland is calling it out that, yeah, he's lied about Medicaid, and he's going to continue to lie about Medicaid now.
But they try to pretend they're for everybody, and you have Ben Shapiro chiding people for celebrating the death of that United Healthcare CEO, and most of his audience is like, wait, I'm on board with this. And then I'd be curious to see how his audience responds to this kind of thing, this kind of coverage of Medicaid, because almost everybody knows somebody who or has been on Medicaid, because 1 in 5 Americans benefit from it. This is Ben Shapiro's take.
So the House Energy and Commerce Committee is responsible with coming up with $880 billion in the savings. But the reason the Democrats are saying that's all coming from Medicare and Medicaid is because the House Energy and Commerce Committee presides over programs like Medicare and Medicaid. So House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, he, of course, is suggesting that's exactly where all the cuts are going to come from. They're going to come from Medicare. They're going to come from Medicaid. They're not going to come from Medicare. President Trump does not want any cuts to Medicare. Medicaid is a bit of a different story, and we'll get into that in a moment, because the truth is Medicaid is one of the great boondoggles in American public policy. We expend literally hundreds of millions of dollars a year. We expend literally hundreds of billions of dollars a year on Medicaid, and the returns on Medicaid are truly atrocious, just speaking in terms of public policy, speaking in terms of health outcomes. There's some good studies that actually demonstrate that Medicaid coverage is no better than you having no coverage and just going for emergency care to the hospital. Why? Because the reimbursement rates on Medicaid are so low that doctors don't even take Medicaid. Good doctors don't like taking Medicaid because the reimbursement rates are pennies on the dollar of what they could earn from private insurance.
Pause it. Good doctors don't take Medicaid. Why is that the case? Why do we have tiered healthcare in this country? I mean, he's just being factually, he's correct that there are only certain doctors that take Medicaid, and that's a part of our tiered healthcare system where the wealthy get to benefit from private insurance and top doctors and doctors who take Medicaid, yeah, they're maybe more used to taking more low-income patients and perhaps the care.
And here we have Ben Shapiro straight up lying to his audience about Medicaid. Medicaid is to help people with limited income and resources, dude. Like, that's what this whole thing is. Face it. Just tell us that you don't like working class people, that you don't like people that are barely making ends meet with this freaking crappy economy that we have. No, you don't like them. Just admit that. Admit that you do not like the working class and the lower income families.
Quality isn't as good. That's the problem of an underfunded healthcare system where we have mostly privatized it all. And so Medicaid, a government program, has to compete with the private insurers that are gouging people. I have a proposal for the Department of Government Efficiency and the Republicans who are looking to cut out waste, fraud, and abuse they falsely tell us in our government. How about we make it illegal for there to be a private middleman mafia boss in between us and our health care, and make that universal across both income thresholds, if it relates to Medicaid, and disability, and age when we're talking about Medicare.
Because actually, when you talk about bad cost value for money, it is our private health insurance system and our collapsing life expectancy because of that.
And so cutting out waste, fraud, and abuse would mean maybe just make us have one payer, the federal government, for our health insurance. And you know how much costs would go down? Exponentially. So what he's talking about poorer outcomes for Medicaid, which isn't borne out in reality when he says it's better to have no coverage than to have Medicaid coverage, is what he just claimed there. Better to have no coverage than Medicaid coverage. You're serious? If you go into the hospital with a Medicaid card with an emergency, I'm not saying that you're going to be able to have it all covered, but if you go in with an emergency and no health insurance, it could bankrupt you for the rest of your life. What he's saying is completely verifiably false. But then he does that little shift, you can tell, right? When he says the good doctors part. That's when you know he's lying to you.
I mean, he's just trying to gaslight his audience. He's trying to gaslight his audience to get them ready for losing their Medicaid. You're seeing this in, at Republican town halls across America, telling people that, like, oh, yeah, you might experience some difficulties, but don't worry, it's actually not so bad. And, because he knows his audience, some people in his audience statistically have to be on Medicaid, and they're going to experience that. And he wants them to, have this in the back of their head when they.
If you guys like this recap, make sure to like and subscribe for more.
They're forced to try to find some way to pay for their health care.
Right.
And family members are going to have to pay for this stuff for seniors, the 6 and 10 that Medicaid covers for nursing home residents.
That's exactly right. And the nursing homes are increasingly being bought up by private equity that are cutting nursing services and healthcare services to extract as much money as possible. So when we talk about waste, or we talk about how we could improve Medicaid, in part, it's because this money is going towards these private entities that are exploiting government services for profit and not giving our nursing people in nursing homes the right amount of care.
So there we have it, you guys. We have Emma Vigeland, just calling out Ben Shapiro. I'm sure anyone who's watching this vid, or anyone who may have familiar with Medicaid. If you go to the doctor and you get medicine, that medicine may cost upwards $1,500. After Medicaid, after some type of insurance, it goes down to significantly to like $1 sometimes. If anyone who is familiar with Medicaid knows how much of a difference it makes, and if you're denying it, then you really are so out of touch, or you are, again, just shilling us and getting us ready to lose. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's another day in the progressive way.